Hey everyone, it's Kate. I'm here at Shine Yoga today. It is the second week of January and I have made it back for video 2. These videos are being offered as just a little preview to what I'm doing in my regular weekly yoga classes here at Shine in Cincinnati. And we'll see how they develop over time. I shared in the first video that I had been doing little Instagram posts just to kind of let everyone know what's happening in the week and giving a hint of the themes that are being used in the classes. And I feel like I want to share just a little bit more of an invitation to practice with these themes. So in speaking to you, I feel like I can do that a little bit. So this week, we're still working with the tarot. I've been doing that for a while and just using the archetypes of the tarot to add another layer to whatever it is that we're working on in the yoga practice and then relate it back to a yoga theme. So this week we are at the Hanged Man. Make sure that's the correct way. Yep, he should be upside down. This is from the Rider-Waite deck, and that's one of the original decks. You should have some more yellow and blue in there, but my printer's low and you can kind of see in the background, it's a blue kind of day. So the Hanged Man, all of these cards do have many layers, and I think it's important that we bring our own understanding of what we experience when we look at an archetype and thinking about an archetype as well. So what I'm focusing on when I'm talking about the Hanged Man this week is, just what happens when something happens that forces us to have a different perspective. And certainly we can encourage ourselves to look at things from different perspectives. But a lot of times, a challenge will come up, and as uncomfortable as that is and as hard as it might be, the truth is that when we come up against a challenge, we usually are forced to look at things outside of the norm in a particular way. So while that can be difficult, it really can increase our capacity to understand the big picture of life, to have greater understanding of different aspects of life that we might not have delved into on our own. And I feel like that's one of the primary important teachings of yoga, to try to see things from many different perspectives. That if we only come from our one singular point of view, we're gonna miss a lot. So yoga asks us to kind of quiet down and tune in, and from a more relaxed place, a non-reactive place, a non-judgmental place, to look a little deeper and to look a little fuller and see if we can get just a better sense of how the big picture is working. And so what can happen then is that we can have greater understanding and maybe greater compassion, but also, it allows for a great capacity for problem solving, so, that we can come up with different solutions. So, that's the tip of the iceberg of the Hanged Man theme. And what we're gonna work on physically in classes this week are what I'm gonna call inversion skills. And that doesn't mean that everybody in all of my classes is going to do an inversion. When I'm planning classes, I'm really focusing more on the functional, foundational movement aspects to make sure our body is moving and feeling good. And then as we work towards, the more, quotation marks, athletic postures, those are accessible for some people and they're gonna be fun for some people, but it's not gonna be the focal point of my class. So what I am focusing on this week is the base. If we were gonna go upside down, hands and wrists and all the way up through the arms, up into the shoulders, and some neck work. And then if we were gonna do like a full inversion, let's say a handstand or a modified handstand, then it's important that we have a stable core, that we're able to get our shoulders in good position and hold them steady so that they can support the weight. So those are kind of the overarching themes. And I thought for today I would add a couple little sweet bits. And okay, I'm stumbling on my words, forgive me. I'm gonna just do a couple easy I'm gonna show you a couple easy wrist things, and then introduce like some of the like level 1, level 2 inversions. So if you feel like working with me here, you can. I'm gonna move over to the mat here in a moment. And you can see I've got a little table. So if getting on your hands and knees isn't comfortable for you, you can do these things on a tabletop, and I'll show you that here in a moment. Okay, so I am gonna use some padding for my knees. And I think I've shared, I've reached age 50. So I'm into longevity. I'm just gonna tilt this up a little bit. I'm into longevity these days. And if you're younger than me, you know, it's coming. So be nice to yourself on the journey. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is puppy. And if we can, we're gonna do it up on what I call spider tip fingers. So we're gonna come to the knees and then walk out on flat hands. Your wrist is your carpal tunnel. So think of the idea of a tunnel, and we want this to be nice and open and not in too much extension or flexion. So the hands can go flat at first, and then see if you can lift the heels of your hands up so your palms are domed, and then keep your armpits domed, and think of your arm like a bridge. So we don't want it to collapse. We're gonna keep the arms up. I'm gonna walk my hands a little more forward so I can get a little more spine stretch. And then move your hips up and back, and then maybe let your head come down, but don't let your shoulders collapse down. So keep the armpits up, and your head can start to sink, and you'll just take a nice, good, deep breath there. If you're doing it, hang out there a little longer. Let's see, I need to tip this up a little more. I'm figuring out my camera. I'll get it over time. Okay, so if we're using a tabletop, we can just put the palms flat to start, and then see if you can lift the heels of your hands up, and then you might start to walk your feet back, and then just pull some length in your spine. So you're gonna get some finger and wrist strength, a little bit of arm strength, and a nice stretch for your back and down to the backs of your legs. Now, if it's too much in the backs of the legs, you can just bend your knees a little bit, kind of sink back. Okay, so that's the first one. I'm gonna show you the second one on the tabletop, and then we'll do it on the floor. So if you do yoga, you know that your hands, this is extension. Your hands are in extension a lot for so many things, all the down dogs, all the cobras, up dogs. And so we're gonna put our hand in the opposite movement, which is flexion. So if you're on the tabletop, you can put your hands on the table with your palms facing up, and then this part can be a little tricky. Try to get the thumb side of your hand to roll down. So that's part one, and you might feel some muscles already working there. And then part two is to bring the wrist into that extension, or flexion. It's hard for me to remember. It doesn't matter. We're gonna make a fist. So you're just gonna curl your fingers in, and then curl your hands in. And you should feel a good stretch in the back side of your wrist. So if you type a lot, if your hands are in this position a lot, this is gonna be really nice. So we're just gonna hold it and take a couple of breaths. Okay, so if you're on the floor, then you'll come into Sphinx pose. And I could move this blanket, but I'm not going to. Oh, I gotta adjust my camera again. All right, so we're coming onto the belly. You can have your arms far in front of you, which gives you a smaller back bend, or you can come higher into a higher Sphinx. And then we're flipping the palms up. We're trying to get the thumb side of the hand to press down. And then we're curling fingers in, and then hands in. And even though mine are lifted, you are trying to keep this back part of your wrist on the floor. That's a little bit the tricky part. Take a good deep breath in and full breath out. And then just roll out your wrists and wiggle your fingers. Okay, so technically an inversion is anything where your head is below your heart. So technically puppy was inversion. And then you can come into downward facing dog, which is another inversion. So we're on the hands, knees can bend, hips can lift, and then legs stretch straight. So that's pretty familiar. And then I want to show you dolphin at the wall, but you could also do this If you had a couch or a sturdy chair, you could actually walk your feet up onto it and go upside down. So let me move my camera one more time here. I know, it's awkward right now, but at least I'm carrying on, getting in the habit. Okay, so I'm gonna pull my mat right up against the wall. And then you come down to your knees where your feet are near the wall. We're gonna interlace the fingers, unhook your pinkies. And when we do this, we wanna try to keep the elbows in line with the shoulders, not too much wider. So that's gonna take a little bit of effort. You're gonna squeeze those elbows in. And then I'm just gonna put my forearms down on the floor. And I wanna think about pushing down to the ground, and then there's a little bit of drag, isometric drag of the elbow to the wall. So you're pushing your forearms down to the floor and towards the wall. Lift your hips up. And then maybe curl one foot up onto the chair or couch or up onto the wall. You're gonna push this foot strong into the wall and then lift your hips up and maybe take a leg to the sky. And then with good control, just nice and easy, lower down. And when you're finished, you can just do a little child's pose rest to get your blood pressure re-regulated. All right, so in some of my classes, we're gonna continue on and we'll do a few different other variations. And in the more advanced classes, we're actually gonna end up in that hanged man variation. So we'll do a handstand. We use the wall in most of my classes, so you have good support, and we might use a friend to help us get up there, and then we'll find that kind of figure 4 form up there. So we're gonna do lots of other work this week. We're gonna work on shoulder mobility and head and neck mobility and make sure this whole upper body part feels really good. We're also gonna make sure that we're staying in with the theme of that idea of the hangman represents a pause, like I said. So either a purposeful or a forced pause, and really getting into that place where we can slow down a little bit and assess how things are going and what direction we might want to go in next. All right, that's it for today. I hope everyone has a great day and a good week. See you soon.